Remember when chocolate was a short list you could read without a chemistry degree? Cocoa butter, sugar, maybe a little milk. Those days are slipping away. While you've been grabbing whatever's by the register, a lot of what gets marketed as chocolate has quietly stopped being chocolate. Vegetable oil standing in for cocoa butter. Chocolatey coatings that legally can't use the word chocolate. Sour engineered milk bars built for shelf life instead of flavor. And behind some of the biggest names, supply chains nobody wants you looking at too closely. Here's the thing, you're paying real money for products that range from technically legal, but barely chocolate, to candy wearing a cocoa costume. So let's talk about the 6 chocolate brands you should skip and the 3 that are actually real cocoa, because life's too short to bite into a foil-wrapped bunny and taste crayon. Smash that subscribe button, because we're about to save you from a whole lot of fake cocoa. Skip number 1, Hershey's. Let's start with the giant whose name basically means chocolate in America, Hershey's. And that's exactly the problem. Here's the thing about that famous Hershey's flavor. It comes partly from a process called controlled lipolysis, which produces butyric acid in the milk. That's the same compound found in Parmesan and, less appetizingly, in Spit Up. It's why so many people outside the United States describe American chocolate as tangy, sour, or worse. You grew up on it, so it tastes like home. Step back and it tastes like science. And get this, to hold costs down and keep the texture smooth, Hershey leans on emulsifiers like soy lecithin and PGPR, a castor bean derivative that lets the company use less of the expensive cocoa butter. You're getting a lot of sugar, a modest amount of actual cocoa, and a supporting cast of additives. Then there's the baggage. Consumer Reports flagged Hershey's Special Dark for lead well above California's strict benchmark, and the company has faced lawsuits over heavy metals and separately over its cocoa sourcing. It's technically real chocolate, engineered down to a price point, with a flavor only nostalgia could love. Skip number 2, R.M. Palmer. Next up is the brand you've definitely eaten without ever knowing its name. R.M. Palmer, the company behind those cheap, hollow, foil-wrapped Easter bunnies and holiday Santas. But here's where it gets tricky. Flip one of those over and read the label, and you'll often find the word chocolatey or chocolate flavored rather than chocolate. That's not a marketing quirk, it's the law. Under the FDA's rules, you can only call something chocolate if it contains cocoa butter. Swap in vegetable oil, usually palm kernel or coconut, and you've made what the industry calls compound coating. That's why these things have that waxy, greasy mouthfeel that coats your tongue and never quite melts the way real chocolate does. The cocoa butter that gives chocolate its silky snap has been traded out for cheaper fat that stays solid on a warm shelf. At a couple dollars for a hollow novelty, the price is the whole point. The most telling part is that the company can't legally call its product chocolate, so it settled for a word that rhymes with it. Skip number 3, Nestlé White Morsels. Our third skip lives in your baking aisle and fools people every single holiday season. White baking chips, with Nestlé's White Morsels as the usual suspect. Here's the kicker, real white chocolate has to contain cocoa butter. That's the ingredient that makes it chocolate at all, since white chocolate has no cocoa solids to begin with. But a lot of white baking chips, including some of the biggest sellers, skip cocoa butter entirely and use palm kernel or other vegetable oils instead. Look closely and you'll notice they're labeled white morsels or white baking chips, not white chocolate. That wording is doing a lot of quiet work. What makes this particularly sneaky is that they sit right next to the real chocolate chips, in nearly identical packaging, often for the same price. You think you're buying white chocolate. You're buying sweetened vegetable oil with vanilla flavor. If the bag won't say the words white chocolate, believe it. Your cookies deserve better than a cocoa-free imposter. Skip number 4, Mars and Dove. Our fourth skip is a chocolate empire you know by a dozen names. Mars, the company behind Dove, M&M's, Snickers, and Milky Way. The chocolate itself is real enough. The problem is where the cocoa comes from, and how little the company seems able to tell you. Mars has acknowledged it can trace only a fraction of the cocoa it buys all the way back to the farm. By one widely reported figure, that number was around 24%, meaning the rest disappears into an untraceable supply chain. Here's why that matters. West African cocoa, which feeds most of the industry, has been dogged for decades by documented child labor. In 2021, former child laborers brought a lawsuit naming Mars alongside Hershey, Nestlé, and others. The companies denied wrongdoing, and the courts ultimately dismissed the case, but the underlying sourcing problems never went away. What makes this particularly frustrating is that these are some of the richest food companies on earth. When a brand can't tell you where most of its main ingredient comes from, That silence is part of the product. Skip number 5, Cadbury, the American version. Our fifth skip is a heartbreaker for anyone who's traveled. Cadbury, or more precisely, the American version of it. Here's the thing most people don't realize. In the United States, you're not eating British Cadbury. Hershey holds the rights to make and sell Cadbury here, and it uses its own recipe. So that dairy milk bar you remember from a trip to London is not the bar you'll find at an American checkout. They share a name and a purple wrapper, and not much else. And get this, back in 2015, an agreement actually blocked imported British Cadbury from being sold in the States to protect the Hershey-made version. Fans were furious because the American formula leans on the same emulsifiers and processing that give domestic chocolate its sweeter, slightly off taste. So you're paying for the prestige of a British brand and getting an American stand-in in disguise. The most cynical part is that the wrapper looks identical, which is exactly the point. If this is already saving you from a bad purchase, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's next. Skip number 6, Russell Stover, sugar-free. Our last skip is the one that promises you can have your chocolate and skip the guilt. Sugar-free chocolate, with Russell Stover's sugar-free line as a classic example. Here's the catch nobody puts on the front of the box. To ditch the sugar, these products lean on sugar alcohols, usually maltitol. And maltitol is notorious. Your body can't fully absorb it, so it ferments in your gut, which can mean bloating, cramping, gas, and a bathroom situation that has launched 1,000 brutally honest online reviews. What makes this particularly ironic is that you're often not saving much in the end. Maltitol still carries about half the calories of sugar, and it still raises blood sugar, only less than the real thing. So the so-called guilt-free treat can leave you uncomfortable and only marginally better off. There's nothing wrong with eating less sugar, but sugar-free chocolate often trades a small win for a miserable afternoon. Real chocolate in a smaller portion is usually the smarter call. Worth it. Number 3, Ghirardelli. Now for the brands that are actually real cocoa, starting at number 3. Ghirardelli, the San Francisco name you can grab at any grocery store. Here's what Ghirardelli gets right where Hershey doesn't. It uses real cocoa butter, no vegetable oil stand-ins, and its higher cacao squares actually taste like chocolate instead of sweetened wax. The intense dark line gives you stated cacao percentages, so you know what you're getting, and the texture has that proper snap and melt. The honest caveat, Ghirardelli is owned by Lindt now. It's still mass-produced, and its sourcing transparency isn't on the level of the small bean-to-bar crowd. It's chocolate for everyday eating, not a farm-traceable artisan bar. But for something you can buy tonight at a fair price, that's unmistakably real chocolate. Ghirardelli clears the bar that most supermarket brands trip right over. It's the easy upgrade hiding in plain sight on the same shelf as the imposters. And if you're finding this ranking useful, hit the like button. It really helps the channel cut through the noise. Worth it. Number 2, Lindt. And number 2, we step up to the brand that made real cocoa butter feel affordable. Lindt. Here's what sets it apart. Lindt's Excellence line is built on genuine cocoa butter and clearly labeled cacao percentages from a mild 70% up to a bracing 90. The texture is the giveaway. That smooth, clean melt comes from cocoa butter doing its job, not palm oil faking it. And Lindt has committed to full traceability of its cocoa beans, which puts it ahead of most brands its size. What makes this particularly satisfying is the range. You can walk into a drugstore and walk out with chocolate that a few decades ago you'd have needed a specialty shop to find. The honest caveat, ethical raters still ding Lindt on the depth of its human rights due diligence. And like nearly every dark chocolate on the market, some of its bars turned up in heavy metal testing. It's very good, not flawless. Real cocoa butter, real cacao percentages, available almost everywhere at a price that doesn't punish you. Worth it. Number 1, Tony's Chocolonely. And the number 1 pick that's actually real cocoa goes to the brand that put its whole mission on the wrapper, Tony's Chocolonely. Here's why it takes the top spot. Tony's is real chocolate made with genuine cocoa butter, and it's also the most transparent large chocolate company you can buy. In the 2025 chocolate scorecard from the Watchdog Group, Be Slavery Free, Tony's came out on top with a score of 91%, ranking near the top in every category, from traceability to fighting child and forced labor. Those deliberately uneven chunks on the bar, they're a statement about the inequality baked into the cocoa trade. And get this, while Mars can trace a fraction of its cocoa, Tony's built its entire model around knowing exactly where its beans come from and paying farmers a real premium above the market rate. The honest caveat, it's sweet, sugar-forward chocolate, not a high cacao purist bar. It's made through a large manufacturer and it costs more than a drugstore impulse buy, where you're getting real cocoa and a clear conscience in the same wrapper. When the chocolate is this real and the sourcing is this honest, Paying a little extra stops feeling like a splurge. So here's what the chocolate aisle really comes down to. It's a contest between products engineered to look like chocolate and products that actually are chocolate. And the difference is usually hidden in the fine print. On the skip side, you've got Hershey's engineered tang, Palmer's vegetable oil bunnies, Nestle's cocoa-free white morsels, Mars and its untraceable supply chain, Cadbury's American stand-in, and sugar-free bars that punish you for the privilege. On the real cocoa side, Ghirardelli, Lindt, and Tony's Chocolonely all share one thing: cocoa butter, not a substitute. Here's the final piece of wisdom, and it's free. Turn the package over and read two things. First, does it actually say chocolate, or does it dodge with chocolatey? Second, is cocoa butter in the ingredients, or has vegetable oil taken its place? Those two checks sort the real from the fake in about 5 seconds. One fair note before you swear off dark chocolate forever: heavy metals like lead and cadmium turned up across nearly all dark chocolate in testing. Premium brands included, because it's a soil and sourcing issue, not a single villain. That's a reason for moderation, not panic. Your chocolate choices say a lot about whether you read the label or trust the wrapper. Choose the real thing. Hit subscribe if this changed how you'll shop for chocolate, and drop a comment telling us which ranking you think we got wrong.